It began with a letter, the kind yellowed with time and stained by the clumsy kiss of water. Detective Lena Marlowe received it not by post, but slipped into her coat pocket while she sat in the rear pew of St. Agatha's Cathedral, attending a stranger's funeral. The envelope had no return address, only her name penned in an almost forgotten cursive. Inside, a short message. Come to Crescent Hollow. There is a debt long buried. Bring the pendant. Lena hadn't seen or thought of Crescent Hollow in nearly 20 years, not since the night she had left under a shroud of rain and blood. Her fingers instinctively went to the pendant tucked beneath her blouse, a dull silver locket etched with an Ouroboros. That night she didn't sleep. She packed, and at sunrise she drove east. Crescent Hollow had aged, like all things do, but its bones were still there, twisting cobbled lanes, gas lamps that flickered more out of memory than necessity, and the ever-looming silhouette of Mirror House at the edge of Blackridge Forest. Locals eyed Lena with a mixture of suspicion and awe. They remembered the girl who vanished after the Prescott tragedy. She made her way to the bed and breakfast owned by old Mrs. Quill, who seemed to have been waiting for her. "I knew the day would come," the woman said, pouring black tea. "You're not the only one haunted by that house." That night Lena stood at her window, staring at Mirror House across the valley, its glass panels reflecting nothing but darkness. She didn't remember locking the window, and yet the next morning it was ajar, and someone had left an old photograph on the sill, a photo of her and Alice Prescott, smiling in front of the house. The Prescotts were once the crown jewel of Crescent Hollow, philanthropists, scholars, patrons of the arts. But that facade cracked the night of the winter solstice gala 2 decades ago. Alice Prescott, the youngest daughter, had disappeared. Her blood had been found smeared across the bedroom mirror, and the shattered glass had been stained with handprints. No body was ever recovered. Lena, then 17 and Alice's best friend, had fled the scene, her memory fractured. Rumors swirled, a lover's quarrel, occult rituals, a cursed house. Lena had never spoken of that night, until now. Her first stop was the Hollow Archives. In the faded records, she found something new. Alice's father, Theodore Prescott, had filed a death certificate 1 month after the disappearance, but attached was a note in red ink. Not dead. Waiting. The mirror lied. Mirror House had been sealed since that night, its many windows shuttered, its doors chained shut by a town ordinance. Lena approached it with bolt cutters and nerves of iron. The air around it was different, thicker, colder, as if time clung to it like fog. Inside, dust blanketed everything. Chandeliers hung like frozen tears. Mirrors, dozens of them, lined the hallways and rooms, some cracked, some spotless, all unnerving. In Alice's room, Lena found the locket's twin resting on the vanity, beside a note. "One truth breaks 1,000 lies. Find the reflection that never was." Behind the mirror, she discovered a hidden crawl space, filled with ritual symbols drawn in chalk. A single word was scratched over and over into the wood. Alecto. The next evening, as Lena walked back to town, she encountered a man in the woods, tall, pale, dressed in a gray trench coat. He introduced himself as Ezra Vane, an independent historian of unusual happenings. He claimed he'd been studying the Prescotts for years, convinced their wealth had been built on arcane practices involving reflective surfaces. "The house is a gate," he said. "Mirrors are keys. Alice isn't gone. She's on the other side." He offered Lena a leather-bound book with the Ouroboros embossed on the cover. "If you open all 13 mirrors before the solstice moon, you might reach her. But be warned, something else might come through." Lena returned to Mirror House nightly, unlocking each of the 13 unique mirrors with a combination of symbols from the book. Each mirror told a piece of a story, a memory she didn't recall, a whisper of truth that cut deeper than she expected. One showed Alice crying, whispering Lena's name. Another showed Lena holding a knife with tears in her eyes. In the ballroom, the grandest mirror revealed the entire gala scene. Guests frozen mid-dance, the moment before chaos erupted. And yet, no one in the reflection moved, except Alice. She turned and looked directly at Lena. "Hurry," she mouthed. By the 12th mirror, Lena felt reality slipping. The town had grown stranger, people repeating conversations, clocks that ticked backwards, reflections moving half a second out of sync. She confronted Mrs. Quill, who confessed she had once been part of the Prescott Circle, a secret society bent on preserving the veil between worlds. The locket Lena wore was one half of the Ouroboros key, a device designed to lock the portal. Alice, it turned out, had been the vessel for the final seal, but someone had broken the ritual that night. Someone had tried to pull Alice back. "You," Mrs. Quill said, "but you failed." Determined to understand, Lena unlocked the 13th mirror. Instantly, she was pulled into a vision. She and Alice in the ritual chamber, both frightened. Theodore Prescott chanting from the book, Mrs. Quill lighting candles. Alice began to convulse, her reflection shattering into a million fragments. Lena, terrified, had grabbed a knife and cut the ritual circle, trying to stop it. The backlash had shattered the house's mirrors and broken Lena's mind. She hadn't fled out of guilt. She had been banished by the ritual itself. When she awoke, the 13th mirror was gone, replaced by a swirling darkness that whispered her name. Ezra returned. "Now you must go through," he said. "She's still alive, but so is Alecto." Lena stepped into the 13th mirror, descending into a place of twilight, the other side. It was a mirror world of the house, decayed, echoing with the voices of the lost. Shadows with human faces moved just beyond reach. In the grand hall, she found Alice, still 17, trapped in a circle of mirrors. "You came," she said, tears glistening, "but he followed you." Behind Lena, a figure rose, tall, faceless, crowned in broken glass. Alecto, the devourer of reflections. The locket burned against her skin. They had one chance. Alice and Lena stood within the mirror circle, chanting the reversed rite from the book. Alecto screamed, its voice like breaking glass and burning silk. As the ritual crescendoed, Lena threw both lockets into the void. The mirrors cracked, then exploded outward, light pouring in. When she opened her eyes, she was outside the house, dawn rising. Mirror House stood silent. All 13 mirrors were shattered. The locket was gone. So was Alice. Crescent Hollow changed overnight. The house was demolished by a town order. Mrs. Quill vanished. Ezra left behind only a single page from his journal. She saved her, but at a price unknown. Lena returned to her life, but the world remained slightly off. Sometimes her reflection smiles when she doesn't. Sometimes she hears Alice whispering her name. And in the darkest corner of her apartment, where a broken mirror sits covered by cloth, the whispers never stop.